Today's workshop is about uh, introducing to you the book Modern Watercolor Botanicals. So here it is, Modern Watercolor Botanicals. It's by Sarah Simon, and she has dubbed herself the Mint Gardener. And inside the book, she tells you why she calls herself the Mint Gardener. It's a lot of fun, her story. And I'm going to take you through some of the things that are in the book. Um, I like that in her book, she starts out with the basics about watercolor. So there's a whole section in the beginning of the book about the basics of watercolor. And it's not just watercolor, it's also watercolor and gouache, which is an opaque watercolor. And then she gives you drills to run through. So, for instance, this is one of the drills that I did right here from the book. And this is another one of the drills that I did from her from the book. Uh, During this workshop, we're going to do some of those drills, and then we're going to dive a little bit deeper and make um, a botanical watercolor painting, and maybe a little bit of gouache as well. So I really enjoyed this book. I'm really enjoying this book, and I can definitely recommend it if it's something that you would like to take yourself from maybe not knowing much about watercolor or gouache, and then really step by step taking you through it. Amazing. I definitely love it. I can recommend it. All right. So what we're going to be working with today then is watercolors and a few colors of gouache. And so what I've done is I looked through my stash. Let me show you in her book that she has a section here in the beginning uh, where you hold on. So the introduction, the foundations. Come on now. She's got your tools and then your watercolor paint. Okay, we need to get to the point where she's showing us the colors of watercolor that she likes to use. She talks about how to mix the paints into different consistencies and then different color types. Okay, come on now. Color psychology, how to compose a painting. Come on. There we go. Now she's beginning to get to the point. Okay, there's a whole section in the beginning. So, no, come on now. She's doing lots and lots of run throughs of different types. So, this first whole section was just the basics, learning about wet and wet techniques, and also learning about wet on dry techniques and letting the colors flow into one another because watercolor, the main ingredient of watercolor is water. I mean, is right. We add the water to the paint to make it slosh around. And then this is her color palette in the book right here. She has a light palette and a dark palette. And so I went around and gathered these paints. They don't have to be exactly those colors, but something like that if you're going to follow with her projects. And then I love that she shows you here some color recipes. So I know a lot of people have trouble color mixing, right? Mixing together colors and feeling like they're confident with color mixing. So that's something that I really appreciate in here is for each one of the projects, not only is she telling you in the beginning how to mix your colors, but then later for each project, she's saying we're using this color, this color, this color, and we're using these mixes or these recipes. And she'll refer you back to these pages. If you look closely here, she's telling you this color is mix these together. So that's why I was saying she has those color recipes for you there that she likes to use the most. And who is she again? Is Sarah Simon, the Mint Gardener. Why does she call herself the Mint Gardener? Because she said in the book, she tells the story about that and the fact that she loved to garden, but the only thing that she could keep in the garden was mint because it's really hard to kill mint, you know? So she named herself the Mint Gardener. Isn't that cute? I love that. So what I did was I went through my stash of watercolors and came up with some tubes. that match the colors, somewhat match the colors. She uses a Reeves inexpensive set for um, her color set, but you can find other colors within your sets that are similar to that. Now, I like, from having worked through some of her projects, I like using the tube paint rather than a paint that's in a palette. But I am going to show you a palette that has great colors to do the projects in this book. This is one of my favorites to recommend. And it's hard to see right there, but there's Van Gogh right there. So these are Van Gogh watercolors made in the Netherlands. This is a special pocket set that includes 12 colors plus three. So they sell the regular 12 color pocket, but they also sell this 12 colors plus three while the supplies last because they're not, I haven't seen them making these anymore. But your normal set has these two on the top and then all of these here for a total of 12, but this has three additional colors. So this set, which is the 12 plus three, has the colors you need to do the projects in the Modern Watercolor Botanicals book. Hey there, Card Sniper. Welcome in over on Whatnot. And welcome to everybody that's on, oh, Watercolor, etc. Yay! And I see on, oops, sorry about that. Let me go back. I was looking for the comments today and yesterday. Oh, I think Watercolor, etc. was talking about last week's workshop. Said, I watched it today and yesterday. It was phenomenal. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Um, so again, this is the Van Gogh. It, I'm telling you all, this particular set, I think it's uh, like I said, I think it's discontinued. And so I have found it out on the interwebs and for an amazing price, like 20, under $30 for this set of 15. And the cool thing is, if you run out of a color, like right now, I'm very low on this sap green color right here from using it a lot. You can buy just the tube of that color and then squeeze it in and replace it. So I mean, from an economy standpoint, this is phenomenal. And I will have a link to this if I can still find it. I will have a link to it in the description of the video on YouTube. But it is the Van Gogh pocket set. And it has most of the colors in it that you're going to need for these projects. Now, also, um, besides watercolor paints, like I just went through my Winsor and Newton stash and grabbed some Winsor and Newton tubes. Like here's the yellow ochre, for instance. Besides that, she has you use some gouache as well. So this is my Winsor and Newton designer's gouache. That's why I decided to get Winsor and Newton tube paints because I'm using the Winsor and Newton gouache. So this is their what do they call it? Permanent white, which is their titanium white, very, very bright. And that is what you use together with your watercolors to get here. I was doing some mixing from her book. So this she calls mauve, a light mauve. And so that's a couple of other colors mixed with a lot of that um, designer's white, okay, the permanent white. There's also another color called zinc white. And the thing with zinc white is that um, it will tint your color, but it won't make it a pastel. You have to put a lot of it in to get it to make it a pastel. So um, there is another color white of this, but it is the zinc white, or oftentimes companies will call it mixing white. And that is doesn't have the same strength as this titanium white. But what that other one does, the mixing white or the zinc white, it will give you your tints for your colors, but it won't give you your pastels without adding a lot of it. So you're better off having also a titanium white, in this case, permanent white, in order to get those pastel type colors. Now, another color that you'll often see in a book, and that's what she put in this book, I will explain to you. Let me just show you the cover again. One of the things that she suggests or she talks about in this book is mixing your colors with China white or Chinese white. So just know that China white, let me show you one. This is the Chinese white from, this is also Winsor& and Newton, but it's the Winsor& and Newton student grade Cotman, which is still excellent, by the way. So Winsor& and Newton Cotman, Chinese white. So this is actually the little bit lesser tinting than your gouache permanent white. Okay. So I wanted to discuss that because it a lot of times if you buy a tube set of watercolors, you'll get this tube of Chinese white and you're like, huh, what is that for? And then when you try to use it, you're going to find that it only slightly lightens your colors. It doesn't give you that pastel punch that you might be looking for. And that's because in order to get the really, really light pastels, you need to use a permanent white or a titanium white gouache to make that work. Okay. And how do I know this is titanium white? On the tube back here, let me just check it. It says permanent white on the front. But when I look at the back, right here, it says the pigment code. So it may be hard to see, but right here, it says PW6 is the pigment code. And there's a little box here and it's filled in. That means it's opaque and it's titanium white. So PW6 is titanium white. There's a whole database online um, that tells you what each one of those pigment codes means. And I know that the PW6 pigment white 6 is titanium white, and then pigment white 4 is zinc white. Okay, so these are just things that I know from experience. And I will put a link in the description of the video on YouTube to that database if you're interested. If you have a tube of paint, for instance, here's the yellow ochre, and you look on the tube and it says, okay, this says PY right there. PY43 is the pigment. If you want to know more about that pigment, you can log on to this database. I'm going to put in the link in the description, and then you'll get to know more about it. Not only that, another thing that I use the Pigment Database for is that this company. Let me see. Let me find another one that might. Okay, so here Viridian hue right here. So this one says Viridian hue on the tube. And so there are different pigments that companies use for Viridian. Let's see what this one says. So this one is actually a combination of three pigments. It says on the back here, PG7, which is your mixing 7, PY42, which is a yellow, and then PY43, which is a yellow. Actually, we just saw PY43. This is yellow ochre, and that's one of the colors that's in this Viridian tube. Okay. Um, and so, and here it tells you it's transparent. You see the little white block instead of a black block. That means that it's a transparent color. Um, but some of the tubes will have multiple colors on them. And but it has the name Viridian Hue. Now, if you grab a Viridian from a different company, it may look different. And when you look at the pigment on the back, it may have different pigment codes. So that's why I love that pigment database, because then I can look up what the various codes are in case I need to know what are those colors. Okay. So that is just that's getting kind of thick in the weeds, but I thought it was important if you're working with professional grade watercolors. Actually, believe it or not, these watercolors, the Van Gogh, even though they're considered sort of student grade, I think they're better than student grade from having used them for a couple of years. Um, I think they're fantastic. And these paints actually have the pigment codes on them as well. Let's see if I can pop one of these out. because you can actually, let's say that I decided instead of this blue, I wanted a different blue. I can buy just one of these from the Van Gogh. It's Royal Talents is the name of the manufacturer, but they're Van Gogh watercolor. If I wanted to replace this with a different color, it just popped out of there and I can buy another one, another color. And I've done that. I've taken other ones of these and um, curated them, made them my own by buying specific pans like this. Now, once the pan is empty, then you, of course, can refill it from a tube. Let's see, does this say on here? Okay, this one doesn't say it on the side. One of my other sets has all those details. So let me look in here real quick. This is a nice set because it comes with a little brush and there's a little sort of hook on the back end, and you can lift this out. And then in here, there's another whole mixing well. But what I did is I put my color chart in here. Come on, color chart. Come up, come up, come up, come up. Let me get it up off of here. Yee, you can do it. And when I got this set, it had a color chart with it. And it has all the pigment codes on it. So that's what I wanted to let you know is if you're buying watercolor paint and the tubes have the pigment codes on it, that's great. That's what you need to know, especially if you're going to use a book and they're saying it's these colors, then you may need to use um, color codes. So this particular set came with these listings and it tells you what the color codes in here. Like for instance, ultramarine deep it says here PB29. So I know a PB29 is an ultramarine blue, but there are codes. And here's another whole area for color mixing with this. I can't recommend this set enough. It is fabulous. Again, it's the Van Gogh Pocket Box 12 plus 5. Woohoo. Okay, so what I've got here is I have a couple of trays for color mixing in. This is one. How many does this have? One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. That's what I thought. Eight color wells and then 16 mixing, eight more mixing wells. And this is just plastic, but it works great. I do like that one a lot. And then also I have my paints here in a butcher tray. So you see this butcher tray right here with all the paints in it. That's another traditional way that people like to put their paints in the butcher tray and then do all their mixing in here because it's a lot of room. I think it's 13 inches across by 7 or 8 inches this way. So that's nice and big, and I'll have it linked in the description of the video. Now, something else, there is one tube of paint that I grabbed from uh, Daniel Smith, and that's because it's one of my favorites for doing plants. The kind of green that it is just mwah, special for doing plants. And the color is called Green Appetite Genuine. So it's actually crushed up stones and it has this amazing strong green color. But it also, because it is crushed up stones, it has this fallout to it. The colors separate just a little bit. I'm going to show you what it looks like here, but it is green appetite. And do you see those little, like this little brown fallout right here? Oh my gosh. To me, it is amazing for doing plants because you get these really unusual looks to the leaves. And that just makes your artwork special, something different. But it is the Daniel Smith, there's a little P on it because it's part of their Primatech, meaning it's the ground up stones. Um, collection, and it's called Green Appetite Genuine. Don't worry, I'll have a link to it in the description of the video. Okay. But I just wanted to show you that because it's one of my favorite greens for doing foliage. All right. Um, Now, let me also show you the paper we're going to be using today, because one of the things she suggests in her book is she's like, use your best watercolor paper. So if I'm doing an exercise, she says for the exercises, use your best watercolor paper, which I understand why she says that because she wants the paints to work on that page in the best way that they possibly can, especially if you're adding a lot of water. So the best watercolor papers are 100% cotton. Okay. Now, you don't have to do that, but that's what she suggests in the book, but you don't have to do that. This one is very economical. It's a Grumbacher 30 sheets of watercolor paper, and it is 140 pound, which is a beautiful weight to work on. And I like these because this is the 8 by 8, and I really like this size a lot. That's what I did this on. So for doing testing, I really like the 8 by 8. And it's a nice, slightly textured cold press watercolor paper. And I like it. I like this. So for doing the exercises, I like using a paper like this, or the other one that I did it on. You saw this one, where this is also from the book Exercises on Leaves. This is one of my favorite notebooks, is the US Art Supply watercolor notebooks. And what's great, these are super economical. It's 5 by 5 by 8.5 by 8.5 inches. And it comes in a set of three. So for like 20 bucks. So it's very economical because there's so much paper in here. Plus, the nice thing about it is you can use the front and the back of the paper. So this was the front of the paper, and you can see here it has a bunch of texture to it. But the cool thing is the back of the paper, which is where I did this exercise, is rather smooth. So you get a rough side and a smooth side for this, and it's 30 pages. So that's 60 pages of practice. These are just phenomenal, phenomenal for the money. I love it. Not 100% watercolor. I mean, cotton. Okay. But good for doing your exercises on. And that's what I use those for. And then I'm going to do the floral from the book on this. This is a new notebook that Couple Clip sent to me, and it is beautiful. I love that it has this to hold it closed, especially when you're traveling and you have it in your bag. And it comes in a couple of different cover colors. I love the spiral bound because when you're working in it, you can go like this and it'll lay flat, right? But some other features of this are that it has a pocket right here. Oops, there it is. There's the pocket. That's the pocket in the front, and it has the same pocket in the back. Isn't that awesome? Because we can never have enough pockets, right? So it has a pocket in the front and a pocket in the back for you to be able to keep your reference photos and things in there. And then, or another thing you can keep in there is your prompts. So sometimes people have prompts that they give you for the month or for the week, whatever. And that's just a list of ideas for what to paint. So those would be ideal to stick into these front or back pockets. Now, here's what the paper looks like. It's very lightly textured, and this is, I believe it's 100% cotton. So, the mint gardener would like that, right? Because you'd be using good quality paper. And this is what we're going to use to paint our floral on tonight, is this beautiful notebook that, like I said, look like that. Fantastic. And it's a nice big size. I love that about it. So that's what we're going to use to paint our floral on from her book. So let me oh, before we go on, I wanted to let you all know that July is World Watercolor Month. So there's a gentleman, what's his first name? Charlie O'Brien, I think his name is. And he started this, I think it was 11 years ago, World Watercolor Month in July. And that is because a lot of people are going outside plein air and watercolor painting outside. He is an illustrator. And so he started this World Watercolor Month movement that's been going on for years. So in July, he puts out a list of prompts. So these are the prompts I was talking about. And then you're encouraged to once a week, once a month, every day for the whole month of July, to use the prompts and come up with designs. And then you can go to his Instagram, World Watercolor Month, and you can see what other people are doing. Isn't that fun? Or you can put in the hashtag in social media, hashtag World Watercolor Month, and then you can see the artwork as people are creating it. It's a lot of fun. And I'll be posting mine on social media as well. But I wanted to let you know about it because you can go to worldwatercolormonth.com and you can download this list. Plus, it gives you a little instruction if you're not familiar with it as to what to do. Okay, awesome. Awesome program. And I'm going to be using this notepad together with my prompt list to do my World Watercolor Month watercolors this month. And he says watercolors, sketches, gouache. He said you can do anything, use any medium. The idea is to give you an idea list to prompt you to create, and that's the purpose for that. Even doing World Watercolor Month, but I think it's perfect smack dab in the middle of the summer. It's a great thing to do. All right, I'm going to go up over top of the table, and we're going to get started with some of these projects out of the book. Oh, I'm so excited. uh, Yes, let me move that to be sure you can see. I already preloaded a few of the colors here. Some of these are just other colors that I had as well in there, like this pink was already in there. Some of these blues were already in there. Sometimes you just, you know, because watercolor can be reactivated, I don't always um, clean these when I'm done with them. And then the next time I grab it, I just try to use what's already in there. Now I'm going to juice it up by taking just some plain water and spraying it in there to reactivate the colors because they're dry. Okay, so it helps to give it just a couple of minutes to juice it up. All right, let's take a look here. And in the book, oh, this is where she tells you about why she called herself the beginning days of the Mint Gardener, why she calls herself the Mint Gardener. It's a cute little story. And so this is the project, Boundaries and Blending, she calls it. And it's an opportunity for you to put multiple colors in a row, like I did here, and then purposefully let them touch each other in order to see um, what the different colors do, as well as the combinations that you like. I've done many different exercises in the past, and this combination right here, which is the yellow ochre and the Payne's gray, I can tell you right now, I love that combination, and I've used it over and over and over again. Um, because you see how it looks when they sort of blend with one another. Ah, it's just divine. And that is the purpose of doing these and using different color combinations, is to see what kind of bleed you get between colors or that you don't get sometimes. Like there's no bleeding in here. That's because these have a little bit of the gouache in them. So you're going to notice that the gouache doesn't bleed as much unless you put tons of water in it. But these two, fabulous, this green and the light blue. Wow, they look terrific. Look at this pink or mauve and the turquoise. Fantastic. Love that too. So that's what we're going to play with right now. If you're at home and you have some watercolors, this is just a warm up exercise here. She's showing you to challenge yourself and do different combinations of gouache and watercolor to see how they interact with each other. And so we're going to play with some of the colors that I already have in my palette. This is a great opportunity, by the way, for you to take colors. How many of you out there already have palettes that have paint in them? Oh my goodness, y'all. I did a post one time for social media and I showed I had like 8 palettes with color in them already. I'm going to show you a total anomaly from my studio, a complete anomaly. You see that? That is a complete anomaly that I found under some other art stuff that I was going through. I found a palette that was almost empty, and I was able to just rinse it out and be like, oh my gosh, there is a fresh palette. I'm afraid to put paint in it because I'm like, I'm going to end up using it and then I'll have zero clean palettes at that point, right? So we're going to do this exercise as a wonderful warm up. And I'm just going to use the colors that I have in here. If there's another color that you want me to throw in there that might be in here, I've got violet, greens, blues, something that I don't have. And oh, yeah, I have the beautiful pink right there. Um, what I don't have in there yet is an orange, and I'm feeling like I want to put an orange in there. So let me clean one of these out. Ah, this one right here is almost completely empty, right? So let me just get some paper here, paper towel. I'm shocked that normally when I start a session, I have a paper towel in my lap. Here we go. So let's clean this one out right here. And we'll put some orange in there for the fun of it, right? Oh my goodness, it's clear, it's clean. Now this and this are the essentially the same color. I was just mixing this one with another light color I had in here. So let's just get that out of there so that we have more space for putting fun colors in there, okay? There we go. I'm gonna dip it in my water and really clean it out. Lovely. That's the beautiful thing about watercolor and traditional gouache is you can reactivate it with water and clean it up just like that. Where you know how it is with acrylics, you have to literally scrape them off. They don't just come off with water, right? Although you may not be aware that the solvent for acrylics is alcohol. So you could theoretically, I have on my desk here, this isn't just rubbing alcohol in a sprayer. So if I needed to clean up some acrylic, that's what I do. I spray it with rubbing alcohol and leave it for 2 or 3 minutes, and then I scrub it up. There's a trick for you. You weren't expecting, right? In a watercolor glass. Okay, so I'm going to take some of this WINSOR orange and squeeze it in there because I love the orange. Let's see whether this is a transparent or a an opaque or a semi-opaque color. Oh, it says the color benzimidazolone orange PO62, which is a transparent color. Are they telling me on here it's transparent? No, I just know that it's transparent. It's either transparent or semi-transparent. The benza benzimidazolone colors. Let's see. We have some comments on YouTube. Let's see. Raising both my hands, running to see if anyone is here so I can use their hands too. How do you keep up with what color is in each pan? And hello there. What? Sanalaya Wood. Welcome in over on YouTube. Let's see, running to see if, how do I know what colors are in each pan? Well, um, I'm the only one that's using them. So I pretty much have an idea. Well, since I've worked with watercolors for years, I can look at a watercolor and basically know what it is. This one, I know just by looking at it. It's a phthalo turquoise, meaning it's a transparent turquoise. This one is Sleeping Beauty turquoise. It's one of the Primatech colors from Daniel Smith. This one is an olive green from here, olive green from Winsor Newton. This one is I want to say Rose Madder. I'm not sure what brand it is. This one is the Winsor Newton cadmium yellow hue. So that means there's actually no cadmium in there. This is yellow ochre. This is Kincasia maroon from Daniel Smith. Of course, you saw me just put the orange in there. This is Hooker green from Winsor Newton. And this one over here, I believe, is in Danthrone Blue from Daniel Smith. So there's just a whole bunch of different. Oh, and then over here I have some Payne's Gray, and this was a Cobalt Blue, and this was a blend of colors to get that one. So um, once you've worked with your colors long enough, if it's an individual color like some of these are here, you can kind of know what it is just by looking at it. Okay, I'm going to take another sip of tea here. Mm, this is such a fun project to do. And you can do it in a couple of different ways. You can either, I'm going to grab a brush. Which brush do I want to use? I think I want to use this fluffy one. This is by Artify, and it is a squirrel brush, and it's called a quill brush, and it's very fluffy. So it holds a lot of water, a lot of color, and a lot of paint. Now, doing this kind of project, you may actually want to have more than one brush because you're dipping back and forth between different colors. And so if you're washing your brush each time, thank you. Oh, Semalaya Wood. You want to know where to get the Sleeping Beauty turquoise paint? That is, uh, okay, I have so many brands floating around in my head. It's this one, Daniel Smith. It is a Primatech color, so it'll have a P on it from Daniel Smith, the Sleeping Beauty turquoise. Let me swatch it so you can see what it looks like. Right? Don't we love that? Oh, okay. Let me swatch it so you can see what it looks like. That's beautiful. What I like about the Primatech colors is because they're crushed up stone, most of them granulate. And I love that. I love colors that if you have textured paper, some of the granulation falls out. And I just love that look. But there you go. That's Sleeping Beauty turquoise. Oh my gosh. Isn't it rich and lovely? It is just so beautiful. Let me add more water because that's more in its mass tone. But if you add a lot of water to it, then you can start to see the separation and the granulation. And that would look phenomenal in like a lagoon where you need that sort of a little bit to the green blue, right? That beautiful turquoisey color. Oh my gosh, that's fabulous. Yes, and it's expensive, but I was like, you know what? The day that I bought it, I actually bought several of the Primatex, and I was just treating myself. It must have been around Christmas time because that's what I like to do. I like to treat myself to paints that I've had my eyes on during the Christmas holiday. You're quite welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Oh my goodness. Okay. So the project that we're going to do is we're pulling our colors like this to see how they react to each other. Now, I'm going to when I did this one, I did the swipes sideways and worked my way down. What I'm going to do this time, because it may just, first of all, your hand may move differently, um, as well as the angle of the brush may be different. So you may get different outcomes. Is instead of going sideways, I'm going to go up and down like this across the page. Okay. So more tea. The tea I have in here is a ginger turmeric tea for, for my back pain. All right, let's just start with a color. Which color? Which color? Let's do that. The one that we were just playing with. So that is the Sleeping Beauty blue. But I have a lot of water on my brush right now. There we go. Gorgeous. So we're just going to be putting 1, 2, 3 rows going across. Now I'm right-handed, so I'm starting on the left. If you're left-handed, start on the right-hand side, okay? Now I'm gonna get some of the color out here before I go to the next one. Ooh, okay, what I think would be nice next to that is this yellow ochre right here. Let's try the yellow ochre. I want to be sure there's plenty of water on my brush because I want the mingling. You don't want to touch the whole side. You just want part of the side to touch so that you can see the commingling of the colors. I think that's fabulous. Okay, what else do we want to put in there? Ooh, all right. I love this. This pink. E. Oh, you know what? I know what this is. This is a Daniel Smith color. What's it called? Permanent. Permanent. It's like a permanent rose, I believe. Anyway, let me get a bunch of that, plus plenty of water on there. Okay, nice. They're beginning to do this, and I love that. Do it. Right? Maybe let's go into now. This is the Winsor and Newton hooker screen. So let's get a bunch of water with that and put it. Normally, a green and a red together make a brown, right? So if these two decide to, let me see if I can encourage them to sort of begin to go into each other, then you may end up with a kind of a brown next to them. Plus, some pigments like to run, that they'll go toward another, and other pigments just don't. They don't run like that. So let's do a Payne's gray. Love Payne's gray. And this is the Winsor Newton Payne's gray. Different Payne's gray have different formulations. So some are more have a more gray undertone, and some have a more blue undertone. I find this one does have some blue, but I think the what mixing palette is that? Hey, MG Doodles, welcome in, welcome in. This, I'm not sure what palette it is, but it's 8 wells. It's a total of 16. So it would be 8 of these and 8 of the slants. Okay, so you're looking for, it's just plastic. You're looking for a 16 well palette, straight, like a straight and line palette. And that should help you to find it. But I will have a link to it in the description of the video on YouTube tomorrow. Let's see, let's try this mauve. The mauve is a combination of quinacridone violet, a little bit of the rose madder, and the permanent white. Oh, you're welcome, MG Doodles. You are quite welcome. So this has a little bit different consistency because it has gouache in it. And what you're going to find with the gouache it tends to, it's very heavy if it has titanium white in it. And so it tends not to slosh into the other colors so much. I'm actually, while I have some on my brush, I'm actually going to come over here and create another line because I don't want to waste that beautiful paint, right? All right. What you're going to notice is when you have paints that have gouache in them, this is what starts to happen to your water. It starts to get really milky really fast. Okay. Ooh, I want that orange. That orange is just calling my name. Benzimidazolone orange. What was it? PO. Come here, you. PO 62. Yeah, that's a common pigment that a lot of companies use for their mid orange. So let's do this and put that one in here. Hello, orange. Nice and bright. Wow, almost like an Indian orange, but Indian yellow, but a little more to the orange punchy side, right? Okay. Now I'm going to take some more of this Payne's gray. Oops, my Payne's gray is almost out. Now, I was mentioning earlier that I really like to use the tubes to do this kind of project rather than using the pans, because I can squeeze a little bit in there and then only add more if I need it, right? So this is the Payne's gray from Winsor and Newton. And you know what? I keep my eyes out for bulk buys with these paints. All of these little tubes that are in here and some of the older ones like this, I've actually bought them in just miscellaneous lots. So watch on Whatnot for when somebody has, craft supplies or paints, watch for the lots. Um, And sometimes you can pick up a great deal. That's what I did there. I picked up great deals using that. Okay, there we go. That's the Payne's gray. I think I'm going to put more of the Payne's gray down here next to this one. There we go. And this one's already dry, so it's not going to necessarily go together, but I'm going to use my other brush and I'm going to wet the area right here, right next to where the two of them meet, and see if I can encourage them to go into one another, right? This is so dark. I like to get as much of the paint out of the brush like this as I can before swishing it in the water so that the water just doesn't get super dirty super fast. Okay. Do I even want to put another color on the end here? Mm, I think I'll use some more of this um, yellow ochre just because I love yellow ochre next to Payne's gray. There's something about it. I love the interaction between the two of them. Okay, there we go. That one's kind of short. These are kind of fat, but whatever. Hey, thank you, Carrie Loves Watercolor, for sharing the show. I appreciate it. Hey, were you here earlier, Carrie, when I was showing the book that we're doing this project from? This is the Modern Watercolor Botanicals by the Mint Gardener, Sarah Simon. And beautiful, beautiful book. And this is one of the first projects, besides just color mixing to get certain color recipes. This is the first project in the book where you're really playing with your colors and just seeing, putting them next to each other in different combinations. How do they look next to each other, as well as how do they look when they fade into each other, which is something that I love. Like for instance, this is cadmium free yellow by Winsor Newton. Let me find it here. Cadmium free yellow right there. Um, but it has the look of cadmium. Yeah, right. Looks beautiful. I could not find you on YouTube. Oh, okay, Miss MG Doodles. Hold on one second. Let me pull this out for you so that you can go ahead and snap a picture of it right here, YouTube. Let's see. Yeah, Watercolor Etc. says on YouTube that I have an extensive list of products that I use. It'll be it'll be in the description of the video tomorrow. Okay, you got it. Super, super. So I go back like tonight. I will put I'll work into the wee hours of the morning, and I will add to the description of the video on YouTube um, the colors that I've been playing with. So I'll just give you a list and the brands. And then I also will give you some links if you want to go find them. Okay. If there's a particular color or combination that you like. Awesome. Okay. So I love this sort of cadmium yellow. I like both the what's this one? The it's all right. The yellow ochre. S- So I like the yellow ochre next to the Payne's gray, and I like this cadmium cadmium free yellow next to the Payne's gray as well. I have all this yellow on there. Yes, MG Doodles gave me a heart. Thank you so much over on Whatnot. I appreciate my Whatnot and family. And if you all on Whatnot want to see some of the artworks and art prints that I have available, you can just in the bottom of the screen on the right hand side, there's a little, that's where the shop is. So you can click on that and you can see what I have in the buy now. Also in the buy now, I have a couple of, I can make a custom watercolor palette for you. Let me show you real quick. Um, in one of these, see how I have like excess tins? So I can do smaller ones or bigger ones and make custom palette for you. You can request some of the colors or just tell me to pick the colors. So this is an example. These are half pans. And so I would send you a custom palette if that's what you're looking for. But that's under art supplies um, in the buy now on Whatnot if you're interested. Okay. Now, this is screaming to me that it wants this pink next to it, which is that permanent, whatever it is, permanent rose or something like that. It's permanent something from Daniel Smith. Okay, let's stick that in. Oh my gosh, so beautiful. What I love is that it's so transparent too. The transparency is just fantastic. All right, now I have green next to that up here, so I'm gonna have to pick a totally different color, not green. Let's put some of the, let's do the Sleeping Beauty next to it. Sleeping Beauty turquoise, Primatech from Daniel Smith. Let's put that next to it, see what happens. Okay, lovely. What else? Ooh, the two of them are kind of blending right here, and it's giving an interesting kind of purpley look to them. Love that. Okay, let's see. Now I want to put a green in there. Let's do the olive green that I have here instead of the hooker green, which is what I put up top there. Yee. There we go. That's beautiful, right? I'm loving that. Look, my cloth is already super wet. So I'm going to need to get a new one. All right, where to go? Where to go? There it is. Yeah, these two, they play very nicely together. Beautiful. All right. And then this is also, it looks like that Sleeping Beauty sort of is invading that green, which is fabulous. Oop, I need to put some more of that green in there. So that is the olive green by Winsor Newton. Let's see what colors are in here. It is PG7, which is mixing green, and PY42, which is yellow iron oxide, gives this color. The reason I mention that is because you may have in your stash a PY42, which is a yellow iron oxide, and then you may have the PG7, which is your emerald green or mixing green, and then you can mix the two together till you get an olive like that. So that's why I like knowing about the pigments and understanding the pigments so that if I don't have a particular color, but I like it, I can look on the manufacturer's website, get the pigment codes off of it, and try to mix it myself. Mm. There's something to be said for convenience colors, meaning it's already mixed in the tube. But in a pinch, you can do that. Ooh, okay. I'm like desperate to use the orange, but I have the orange right there. So I might save the orange for the next layer. Oh, okay. Let's put some of the um yay, yellow ochre. I love the yellow ochre and I love mixing with yellow ochre because it's very earthy, right? It's a very earthy color. Okay, there we go. I think it's PY43 as yellow ochre. This is still my favorite one right here, where the two of them have gone into each other. Okay, let's take some of the mauve. Come on, mauve, which is a gouache, but it's wet and the one next to it is wet. Let's see what happens. If anything, is anything going to happen? I don't know. I think I'll bring this over a little bit more so that I'll only need one more on the end here. All right, we need a punchy color on the end there. What do we want to use? Ooh, okay, this is phthalo turquoise. That means it's a transparent turquoise, super strong. This is a Daniel Smith. This one over here was the Primatech, meaning it's the Sleeping Beauty turquoise ground up into a paint. This is a mixed paint, this phthalo turquoise. It's a combination of phthalo blue and phthalo green. So that's your mixing blue and your mixing green. Gives you this like incredible turquoise, but it's transparent. Yes, good. It's starting to go in to the other one next to it there. Hmm. Okay, I think what I'll do is add a little bit of water to it and do my next one here. Okay, I probably should have measured if I wanted the amount of up here to be the same as what's down here, but I didn't. So it's not going to. It's not going to be the same. That's the way it goes. Can you tell I love to paint though? Like, whatever. This one, I actually did put lines on the page, so that's why it looks a lot more even because I was kind of staying in between the lines, as it were. Um, okay, we're going to put an orange on the end over here. Ah, it's so pretty. Come on, orange. There we go, right here. Let's see what happens when the two of them touch. Ooh, wow, you're getting a really cool sort of green happening right there. I like it. I do, I do, I do. That's an interesting green, the two of those together. Yeah, because normally you would put yellow and blue together, but this is turquoise and orange, and but it's giving me a super cool green. So let me um let me do a swatch on that real quick. Where did I put my other swatch that I was messing around with? Here it is. So what I'm gonna do real quick, because I'm seeing something that I like, it looks very mossy, is I'm gonna take some of the phthalo turquoise here and I'm gonna put it up here. Can you see that okay? Yeet. Let's move it over. So I've got some phthalo turquoise in the mixing space there. Nice. And then I'm going to add to it, let me move that out of the way. I'm going to add to it some of this orange. There's a lot of phthalo turquoise on this brush. So let me get this other brush and just bring some of that orange, lots of it in there. Let's see what happens. Ooh, wow. I like that a lot. It's a very earthy, mossy green. Isn't that cool? See, that's why you do these exercises because sometimes you just discover things and you're like, man, I had no idea. Okay, let me get another little swatch piece so you can see what it looks like. What does it look like? See there how it has just a very mossy green look to it? That is awesome. I would not have known that unless I did something crazy like this, right? So that really is the reason for doing these kind of exercises to get a feel for how what colors you like. Like I love this turquoise together with the permanent rose here as well. These are both Daniel Smith colors. Let's see. I'm going to do a green next, but we're going to do Hooker's green. Hooker's green is a nice bright and yet dark green. Okay, cool. Plenty of water. Let's go up next to here. Fabulous. Nice. We'll see if there's any bleed or not. I'm not sure because that was a little bit dry. Okay. You can also encourage bleed if you want to by lifting your paper while it's still wet and doing something like that. So it's just encouraging the colors to blend together. All right. What's what's next? Okay, something I haven't used yet. No, I think I'm going to go with um, the yellow ochre. There we go. And let's see what happens when I put yellow ochre next to this beautiful hooker green. What happens? Ooh, a little bit of it is going in there. I like that a lot. A lot, a lot, a lot. I like it. Okay. And then let's go with some Payne's gray here. I'm just grabbing some Payne's gray, still wet. We'll see what happens. We'll see if it will blend together with that yellow or not. Okay. And then what else are we gonna do? What? More of the pink because I just love that pink. If you're on thank you, watercolor, etc. Please press like. I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, there we go. Now this is only touching the Payne's gray in two spots, but okay, I'm gonna have to blend that one as well because that is just out of sight. The color the two of those are making together. Let me take some of this pink right here and just let me get more of it up into here like that. And then I'm going to take some of the Payne's gray, which the Payne's gray, of course, is more staining. It's stronger than that pink. So, wow. Man, that makes a beautiful reddish purple. Let's add just a little bit more of the Payne's gray. Yeah, that is a beautiful moody cloud purple. How do you like that? Payne's gray and this permanent, like I said, I think it's permanent rose or something like that from Daniel Smith. It's permanent something. Beautiful. Makes a really cool color. I'm not going to put it right here because it's the combination of these two, but I love it. But this is how we discover, right? Actually, there's a bunch of pink in here, so I'm going to take the pink out of there. All right, what's the next color? Next one. I think the next one, we already used the turquoise. Um, I'm actually going to use the orange because I just love this orange. It's so punchy. I love bright colors like this. Eee. Now I'm going to put a little more. Hey, Poetic Goddess, welcome in over on Whatnot. I'm going to put a little bit more water here and kind of drag it over that other pink to see if I can get the two of them to sort of blend in and talk to each other. They might not. They may be too close to each other on the color wheel to make much of a difference, you know? So, Poetic Goddess, we're working from a book tonight. Um, so I'm introducing this book this evening. It's called Modern Watercolor Botanicals by the Mint Gardener, Sarah Simon. I love this book because you see how it's on it's spiral bound. It's a hardcover spiral bound. So yes, it was expensive, but that way you can either lay it out on your table like this with both pages like that, or you can lay it out with a single page like this and it sits flat for you. And I love the books that are on spiral for when I'm actually working with them in my studio. I think they're great. And at that, the a link to that book will be in the description of the video on YouTube later tonight when I add those links. Okay, what's the next one I want to use? I would use the mauve, except that I use the mauve right here. So I think I'm going to do, no, yellow is not good enough. Let's use this olive green again. Okay, so because we've got hooker's green over here, I'm going to use the olive green right here. Interesting thing about some of these colors, like this olive green, is that it's very gummy. So some colors, some pigments soak up the what's it called? Gum arabic um, better than others. So the ones that don't soak up the gum arabic as well in the molecules of the pigments, they leave a little bit of a gumminess. So this olive green has a bit of gumminess. Now it could be because the tube's old. This is the old style tube and it's been around for a while. So it could be that too. There could be some separation of the pigment from the binder that causes it. All right, one last color here. What's the last one? I want to do the turquoise, but I think I'm going to do this turquoise, the Sleeping Beauty turquoise, instead of this one. There we go. Sleeping Beauty. So the Sleeping Beauty is slightly, it actually looks very much like a cerulean blue, that Sleeping Beauty turquoise. Okay. 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 So there we go. As part of that exercise, the interesting thing I find, even it's even the case when I did this one, is this first line is a little more tight. So you see here, there's not as much like sharing of the color in these. And once you get further down, by the time I get to the last one, it's like, oh, slop a bunch of water in there and you get loosened up and you get a lot more of the um, bleeding between the colors. Isn't that funny? And I can see that's true here as well. But it's good to do some sort of warm up before you get going on your painting. And so something like this is a lot of fun. And if you like the results of what you got, you can always put it into a mat or a frame. So this, for instance, is the 8 by 8 inch paper. And I'm just going to show you, for instance, I have here a 12 by 12. Whoops, where did the 12 by 12 go? Here it is. It's a 12 by 12 mat, and it has a hole for an 8 by 8 piece of paper, right? So then you can just put this in here. There you go. And then, so if you like what you did, you can end up with and frame the piece of artwork, right? So if I was like, oh, I really like that, then I could frame it. And a lot of times when you buy a 12 by 12 frame, they'll have one of these mats that fits an 8 by 8 piece of artwork. So there you go. I could say, oh, I love it. And I want to put it into a mat and put it into a frame and be proud of it, right? But for the most part, these are my practices. It's a good way to practice with a set of colors. Maybe you buy some new colors and you want to see how they interact with some of your other favorite colors. Um, just try it. This is an excellent exercise to try. So we're going to set that aside right now and get to our other paper and do some sort of botanical that we pick out of the book. So let's see. Oops. Let me go back to the book for a second. We're going to be using the cup of clip here. This is the 100% watercolor paper that is just lovely. And again, it's a book with the spiral bound. Love that. Now, these also come with a little bit of perforation here so that if you made a piece of artwork that you liked and you wanted to take it out, you could just go along the perforation and take that out and then put it into your mat or your frame if that's what you want to do. So this is cold press paper and it's going to lay flat for us when we do the project. Now, I was looking at the front of the book, and I really like this illustrative approach to doing the botanicals. So there's the black lines, and then the beautiful fill in of the black lines. So I haven't gotten to a project yet in the book that looks like that, but let's just turn through the beginning part, um, which is, oh, this is the other thing that I wanted to show you. She another set of exercises. And in this case, it is about creating leaf shapes with your round brush. And that's what I had done here. Oop, come here, you notebook. Okay. That's what I had done here. Right. That was following along with her project for that drill, if you will, on how to press and release your brush to get leaves. So let's go ahead and do that. This is she calls it point pressure point leaves. And so I'm going to show you that right now here, not on the good paper. No, no, no. Let me see. I'm trying to think what paper I want to use for this. Okay, I happen to have here my Canson XL watercolor paper, 140 pound. Look, it's almost done. I'm like, I have to get that finished, right? So what she's talking about here is, let's see if we use this squirrel quill brush. Let's try this brush. So you load it up with some green. Now I can even take the tip and pick up another color, like some of this yellow ochre maybe so it's two different colors in the brush. And what she's talking about is where you start, press and lift, press and lift to create your leaf shapes. Okay. So that could actually be an upside down leaf. That's what I'm seeing. So like that. And let's do another one over here. Press and lift, press and lift. And then we're going to connect that one up there. So this is, she suggests using different greens, different pressures, different lengths. So I may do a big leaf like this, right? And then let's say this is kind of like a eucalyptus almost, isn't it? Let me do another one right here next to it. And then maybe another one over here next to that. Right? So that is just getting the feel for how to do this press and lift in order to get your to get those. Let's use a little bit more of that yellow, and maybe I can just sort of create a branch here for these. So they're coming off the branch like this, right? So the idea of just practicing, practice, practice. You can practice small leaves. They don't all have to be big. Let's do little ones. So this one can be like this. The point is to grab your brushes. I know you all have lots of watercolor brushes, but you don't always put them to the test, right? You're not always working with them. Like this one, I don't grab out very often. The quill, I love it, but it's very soft compared to a brush like this that has more spring to it. And then I have even more brushes with a heavier spring to it. But it's an opportunity for you to play around with putting different colors on your brush. So here again, let's see, what do I want to do? I think I'm going to start down here, sort of big like that, and twist and bring it up so I can get something that looks more like this. Right? So it's just work your brushes out, and you may want to change your brushes midway so that you can try something different. But I like that she gives you lots and lots of examples in here to what to do to create leaves. Okay. And so you don't have to do this on the 100% watercolor paper. Like I was saying, you can do something more like this, where it's um, this canson is what they call a cellulose paper, meaning it's made from wood pulp instead of being cotton. Okay. But it works perfectly for, I actually use it for finished artwork all the time. It's acid free and it works perfectly for that as well. But, one of the things I like to do when I do leaves, and I'm going to go away from this quill, which is super soft, and I'm going to move to the one that's a little snappier, is that I like my leaves to have a little bit of white inside. It's just me. It's something that I like to do. Let's get some of the yellow ochre together with this yellow and maybe a little dip of green right there. And so when I do my leaves, again, you're going down, press, and then lift. When I lifted it, I twisted it a little bit. So that's a trick that I think a lot of people don't know about is the twist, the twist. So as you're coming to the end of your stroke, twist and lift. And I think that might help you if you're having trouble with the ends of your uh, designs, whatever it is that you're doing. So here I'm essentially going to start at the same place and I'm going to press, but I'm leaving some space. So you see that clear space in the middle? I love that. Personally, I love to do that. So often I will do leaves where I like to do these super long leaves like this and then leave that little bit of clear space with them. And so you'll see a bunch of my artworks have these kind of leaves with varying spaces in them. But that's one of the things that I love to do when I'm doing leaves, just random leaves. See here, I'm picking up this color and then picking up some of the um, Sleeping Beauty. And let's do another one over here. Now, the size of how big this goes depends on your brush. So I have much larger brushes even. Let me see, where's a nice large brush? Eee. Okay, this one's a little bit bigger. Let me finish this one. Leave a little bit of white space, come together. There we go. But it does take, it's a good warm up practice, especially if you're going to be doing uh, florals. Okay, here we go again. So this is one of the bigger quills, which means it holds tons of water, tons of paint in it. It's this one's a natural squirrel hair, but I have others that are synthetic squirrel hair. So if it has a bigger belly, then you can get a broader leaf as you press. So this is giving me like broader. So you see how just naturally by pressing it, you get broader. And some people are like, why the heck do you need a size 14 brush? Let me see if I have a big one here. Here's a nice big fat one, size 12, right? But because if you have a bigger round brush, you can get bigger leaves. Let's do this one again. And then I'll put orange on the tip of it. Let's see what happens here. So same thing, but just a bigger brush. So when I press, it comes out wider, right? So I can just, economy of scale, I can just get bigger leaves if I go ahead and use the bigger brush. That's all, bigger round brush, then I will get bigger leaves. Conversely, if I use a smaller brush, then I will get smaller leaves. So sometimes I'll use, this is a size 2, right? Size 1. So I'll use a teeny tiny brush if I just want to get little leaves. Let's do this. Or if I want to do grasses, for instance, let's say I want to do some grass or something. Then I use this little guy, and then I can just come up in here and do my grasses, right? With the smaller one. And I also use the smaller one to do little teeny tiny leaves. When I'm doing something that's similar to a fern, then I like to use the little brush to do the ferns like this. And you know what? It doesn't have to be exact and perfect because we're just playing here. I can always come back in, add a little bit more if I want to attach them, but I usually don't worry if there's white space in between. It's okay, y'all. It's okay to have white space. So that's something more like a fern, right? And that's using a size 1, teeny tiny, small round brush. So I'm just, see, the more I do it, the more fluid my movement becomes and the more uniform the shapes, right? Because I'm just getting warmed up. Yee, come on, warm up, warm up. There we go. So now I've got a fern. So that's why us artists, if they're non-artists in the room, that's why us artists have to have every single size of every single style of brush, right? Oh, that's why you, when you walk into the art store, you see 50 million brushes there. It's like, what the heck? How do I choose, right? Oh, I say when you're choosing for the first time, try to get sets that have, you know, from a size 2 or so up to about a size 10 or 12 of the rounds, because that'll really help you to get the variety going there. Okay, yay. And then let's look for a fun floral project. Ooh, that's a pretty one. Okay, very nice. Look at that, palm fronds. I love palm fronds. Since I live in Florida, she's showing you a couple of different ways to do palm fronds there. Nice. And let's see. So here in the beginning of this one, you see how for each project, she tells you what tools you're going to need. She gives you the paint palette, so the colors, as well as a color recipe if there was one that she did a blend for. All right. And then what to do if you're a beginner, what to do if you're advanced, and then what to do, tips for the project, and how to work through it. Okay. And then she gives you plenty of instructions, like how to do each one of the parts. So I definitely recommend. Now, this is super pretty and nice and wishy-washy. Let's see, let's see. I'm just flipping through. I like that one a lot, but let's see what we have. Oh, that's Monstera. So Monstera leaves. Okay. Oh, this one is so fun. So I don't need to do the lady, but let's just do the leaves are very fun. Now, what I do remember about this book from looking through it is that in the back of the book here, she has outlines. Isn't that cool? So, and it's perforated right here if you want to take it out and work with it. All right. Isn't that awesome? She calls them her traceables. Fabulous. So if you're not confident in making the designs yourself with a pen or a pencil, you can just, what I do is I take a piece of tracing paper. So let me show you what I mean. I have tracing paper here. So it has graphite on the back of it. And I could just take this. Let me show you. So here's my cup and clip notebook. And I'm just going to put it underneath here like this. Let's do this like that. Let's do it this way. I would need to take it out, but I'm not going to worry about it. So you put the graphite side down. So there's a waxy side and a graphite side. Oops, not there. I put it down in here on top of my paper like that. Graphite side down. And then I would just draw it. So let me just use a regular pencil of some sort. And if you don't want to draw on this image from the book, you can just take a copy of it and then use the copy, right? But I'm just going to draw one of these right now. Just going to go over the lines with a pencil or a pen like that. And like this. I'm not going to put the other stripes in because I'll just do that with paint. But here is one of them here. And then I'll show you what it looks like. Ta-da. All right. Now, the reason that I like this particular paper, this is a two foot, I think it's a 2 foot roll of Jack Richardson transfer paper, is because it gives you a light line. Some transfer papers give you a much darker line, which is, that's what you want. That's fine. But I'm going to bring it up so you can see this one gives you a nice light line. And so I find that makes it a little bit easier to, like I don't have to sit there with an eraser and erase a bunch of the lines in order to do the project, which you do have to do with the ones that give you a heavier line. So I'm just going to look at the image and use my pencil and sort of draw some other leaves here. So this one, there's actually a little thing that comes here like this. And then this comes down here. So I just, I do a lot of drawing. So this is just from my experience from drawing. Let's do this. I'm not going to do this leaf as fat as it's showing it. And then we'll come down here. There's another big leaf right here. Let's do this. So this leaf, these two come down. What I'm doing is I'm looking at the picture right here in the book. Here, I'll do it this way so you can see the picture there as well. And then I'm just working with the different leaves that are here to, actually there's a leaf right here. It comes down and around. Sort of like that. And up and over. And then there's another leaf that comes down around the back here. Like this. Down. And then around like that. And there's sort of a thing in the middle there. There's a thing in the middle here. Let's see, this one sort of has a thing in the middle here. I'm just giving myself an idea of where these are placed. There's another one that comes out and down here. And it looks sort of like this. Oops, sorry. Let me leave that so you can see the image. But just draw yourself, if you're doing this at home with some of your own watercolors, just draw yourself some leaves. They don't have to be these shapes. They can be any leaf shape you want. I just love her concept of doing uh, the stripes on the leaves. I think that's so much fun. Okay, that's enough for right now. That's, just to kind of give you an idea of the general design. And then I'm going to use um, her picture sort of as a guide here. And oh, you know what? It's in a pot. Let me see if I can put the pot in here. So I'm going to go back to this picture right here. Oops. Hold on. Let's go back to the picture like this. Okay. I just want to see the pot down here to give me an idea where to put the pot. Okay, this is going to come like this. It comes sort of down in here. And then we've got this one like that. And then there's a little pot. This branches out like this. And then back behind here, there's just a little pot. Sort of goes like this. And then down. Let me fix that just a little bit. It doesn't have to be just right, but I would like it to be somewhat. There we go. So there's the little pot that they're in. All right. It helps to ground your image. So in this case, we're grounding it in a pot. Okay. And then I just love the way she uses like blues, greens, yellows. You see that? Some orange. And she just makes stripes. So let's do it. And yeah, so it's lovely that she has these outliners available for you in the book. And I'm going to use my sort of medium sized brush right now to do this. And we have greens and blues, yellows and oranges here anyway. So perfect. Let me get a paper towel. And this is the Cup of Clip notebook. Let's see here, which is beautiful cotton paper. And you know what I'm noticing? See how the water is all green? Okay, if we're going to be working with oranges, I can't have the water all green. So this is what we're going to do. My kitchen, where my sink is way on the other side of the house. So I have another plain water right here, but I'm going to dump this out. And what I've done is in my studio, so I can keep painting, I just have an empty Lebni or yogurt container. And then I pour the water in there like that. And then I have a bottle of water here. And that way I can just keep going. So let's wipe this out because it's going to have lots of color in it already. See all that green and blue in there? Okay, yay. So that way we can start out with some fresh water. So I just keep fresh water here so I don't have to keep running to my sink. There we go. Nice. All ready to go. Move this over a little bit. And so mostly we're going to be in the oranges and yellows and greens. So if you look at your color wheel, those are called analogous colors. So let me show you that. Analogous colors. And that's what she's talking about in the book. Let me see if I can see where she shows it right here. So that is the concept that she's working on. It says analogous and rainbow leaves. So analogous colors are ones that are next to each other on the color wheel. Okay. So if you look here, we've got blue, greens, and yellow, and a little bit of orange. So this half of the color wheel right here, these are analogous colors next to each other on the color wheel. So that'll create a very pleasing outcome if you use analogous colors. So let's go ahead. Oops, wrong brush. That one's too small. Let's get this medium sized one right here. This is a size 8 brush right here. Ooh, I love this yellow. Let's pick up that cadmium yellow. Now, because we're not doing the same project that I was doing earlier, I can apply this in multiple places. Ooh, I'm seeing that it's hard to see the design. So let me bring it up a little closer. Maybe you can see the drawing that I did a little bit better. So now I can either reference her picture or not. I can just start putting in bits, pieces, parts on the leaves like this, right? Let's just do a little half right here. And then I don't have to put yellow on all of them. I'm just deciding how wide I want the stripe and which ones I want to put it on. Okay, I think I'm going to do another one over here. I'm holding my brush at an angle so that I can get wider here and narrower down there. Okay, there we go. That's the yellow. I can always come back and put more yellow in if I want to. Let's do the darker, brighter green, which is this is Hooker's green. Okay. So let's do Hooker. It's okay to leave some white space. If you see here, she didn't cover the whole area, right? She's covering parts of it. So I'm going to put a little bit of that green here on the end, but then I'm going to put it here again. There we go, like that. Nice. Okay. And then here, I'm going to put it right here and just make it thinner. As it goes toward the end of the leaf, make it thinner. So this leaf and this leaf are on their side. You're only seeing half of the leaf. So that's why I'm going thick from the bottom, which would be the middle here, right? And then thin at the top, which is near the edge. Okay, let's do this right here. And that will give you the impression that it's curved. That's what I'm going for. And I'll come thick and then thin toward the edge right there. Nice. And then here, I'm going to bring it right next to the yellow like that. And actually bring it. The nice thing about a round brush like this is that you have some control with the tip. Can you see how that you've got a really nice tip on it right there? This is one of the Famui brushes, Famui round, from one of the Famui synthetic squirrel hair sets. Okay, and then I'm going to put another one down here of this particular green. All right. And then where else do I want some green? This green I want right over here. Sorry about the shadow. So it's going to come along the edge of the leaf there and be like underneath that other leaf. Okay, cool. Now I can come back after this is done and I can use a marker. That's one of the things she was talking about is in this particular project was using ink, right? You can either draw the ink lines before you put the paint in, or you can draw paint and then put your ink lines in. Okay, so I think I'm going to do this right here. And then another one right here. Gets thinner at the top. Okay. Got a bunch of green on there. Let me do another one like right here. Okay. So this is where You can either follow along with her project or you can make it up as you go along. I prefer to make it up as I go along. Okay, here's another. This is the olive green. Let's put some of that in there. So I'm actually going to put some olive green right here up against these two. So that's a nice stripe right there. So some of them she puts right next to each other, and others of them she doesn't. So I'm going to do another one right here like that. Let's just do the whole tip of it like that with the olive green. Okay, keep going, olive green. Let's do this. So I'm going to put an olive green over here next to the yellow. Come up to the top like that. And then another little one down here, right there. I'm not touching this one because I need to differentiate between this leaf, and there's already some of that olive green there. Okay, now we're going to come up here and I'm going to put some olive green right here next to this one. Nice wide one. There we go. And maybe a little bit again at the end right here. Just like that at the end of that leaf. So this is where you just decide. It's totally up to you where you want to put these various colors. There we go. A little bit of green there. Let's do a big one right down here. Big stripe here. There we go. Like that. Like I said, you're making it go at an angle so that you give it the impression that there is that it is curved. Let's get a little bit more color in there. There we go. Like that. And then this one, I'm going to put one right next to here, make it a little bit wider. And then we're going to just come down here and I'm going to put a stripe right here. Like that. There we go. So we got some more stripes going. Let's do a little one right here. So this one is not as wide as some of the other ones. Okay, so let me bring it up closer so you can kind of get a feel for where the stripes are going on the leaves. Right there, right? Now, let's do the yellow ochre because I love yellow ochre and I use a lot of it, y'all. That's why you see how some of the tubes are this size and other tubes are this size. Yeah, there's the yellow ochre right there. Just like that. So let's see the difference that we get in this yellow ochre here. Yeah, it's a little bit darker than the yellow, but not as much sort of as a difference as I might like here. Okay. It's very close to that yellow because they're right next to each other on the color wheel there. And this is just a little bit darker. Okay. There we go. What about over here? I will do a little one over here. And then I'll do one over here. Right? I'm curving it so that the leaf is going to look like it's curved. Let's put one over here. There we go. That's leaf is behind the other one. And I'm going to put a little bit right here so to sort of in that corner. There we go. A little bit more. Where else do I want it? I'm going to put some right in here. There we go. Now, I don't have to fill the whole leaf, right? I can leave some of the area white. When you use your marker pen and you go back over it, that's when it really, like everything will pop. Um, All right, let's see. Here is my Kincasia maroon, they call it, um, from Michael Harding. Let me show you what it looks like. Let me grab a piece of paper here. So you see how it has kind of it's a reddish color. So this is a color that's going to pop because we've got a lot of green on there. So if we put this reddish color on, it's very close to the yellow family, but it's going to pop next to the next to the green. Okay. So I'm going to put a little bit. This is sort of our pop, our color to make everything pop. Is this maroon color? Okay, so I'm actually going to bring it up here, and I'm going to do at the edge here too. There we go. And then let's see, where else do I want it? I'm going to do it right up against this one, this yellow right here. There we go. Nice. And then down here, I want it to be right back in here. So I'm doing it at the back there. Nice. And then let's do one right here. So I am literally making this up as I go along. I'm just looking at what I have and making some decisions. Okay. It's okay for you to do that because it's just watercolor, y'all. Have fun with it. Plus, you can come back later and make changes if you want to. You can add more stripes. You can lift some of the color if it's a little too, like you feel like it is way too dark in some areas, or you can add to the color if you feel like it's too light in areas. Okay, I'm going to do a skinny one right here. Green and red look great next to each other, but if you mix those two colors together, like your Christmas colors, you're going to end up with brown, which we're going to need some brown, by the way, for down here in the tree. Yes, yes, we will. Okay, let me do this right here. Do a thick, thick bit right here. And bring it up like this. So you can see the curve, it needs to curve like that. Okay, good. Boop. There we go. And then I want to do just the end of this right here. I'll put a little one at the end right here. It helps to have that sharp point on there. All right, where are we going to put it up here? I'm thinking right in between these two right here. There we go. Just like that. All right. Nice. Okay. Now I feel like I need some yellow right in here. So I'm going to dip back into that yellow and just going to put a stripe right there. There we go, of the yellow. A little bit more. It's not quite, there was too much water on my brush. There we go. Now it's nice. Oh, these are fun. Now let's mix up some brown so that we can do the stems and some dirt down here. So there's no brown in here. We have this earth tone, which is the yellow ochre, and we have this Syncasia maroon. So we're going to use some of the Syncasia maroon and we're going to mix it with some green. And I already have some green in here. So let's just take some of this and mix it in with the green and see what happens. Okay, now we're getting like a lighter brown. We have a light brown. So let's use the light brown for the, so that's your red and your green. Okay, so pick a kind of red and a kind of green and mix them together and you'll get something that looks like a brown. So let's do this. This is the the branches that they're attached to. This goes back behind here. And then there's another one right here that connects to this leaf like that. All right. And then this one has one as well that connects here, comes down behind that leaf. And then it comes down here. And this comes down into the pots, right? So we've got some of that brown goes down into the pots. Nice. So now we've got the branches going on. If you want to, you can put this also down the middle of the leaves to kind of define the middle of that leaf. While you have the color, why not? This one's actually going to go around the outside of the leaf here because that's where this leaf is turned up. And so that's where the edge of it is. The same over here. So I've got that right there. And then a little bit more of that brown that we just made. And I'm going to bring the brown here. You don't have to do this brown if you're going to do black. Okay. In other words, if you're going to come in with ink and you're going to define those shapes, then you may not have to do that. There we go. Let's go like that. Okay. And then I'm going to bring it right in here. There. So now when you bring it up closer, can you see the defining lines on those leaves? Yes. Lovely. Okay. And I'm going to come back into some of this brown and I'm just going to make it a little bit, put a second coat on there because that'll help to deepen the color of the branches and stems, right? So you let the one layer dry and then you come back in here and then you can add more and that will make it darker as you layer it. There we go. Okay, fun. That is so much fun. So we've got that going on there. And then now the dirt down here is going to be even darker, right? So I need to let's take some Payne's gray here, which is a dark, dark color, right? Dark, dark blue. And let's add that into the brown. And now we're starting to get something that looks sort of like an umber, right? Yes. Okay, so now we have an umber. Let's sort of use that for the inside of the pot right here. So this is our dirt for the inside of our pot. I have to go around the leaf there. So I'm just going around. It's okay to leave some white space in between the, right? I like to leave lots of white space so that you can see the definition of where the tree ends and the dirt begins. So I'm using that fine tip here, just getting that a little more rounded. And then let's get this part rounded. Okay. So that's the dirt inside the pot. And what about the pot? The pot. I think I want the pot. What color do I want the pot? Okay, yeah, Watercolor, etc. was saying they buy the set of brushes because um, uh, too much anxiety to try to buy the individual brushes. I get it. Okay, what color are we making the pot? I think I'm going to combine some of this turquoise together with this green. Come on, turquoise, to get an interesting color. Okay, this the Sleeping Beauty turquoise is not punching up this green enough for me. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to add some of the phthalo turquoise here which is a strong transparent turquoise. There we go. So now it's going to color shift it more, much, much more. Okay, cool. Ooh, I like it. I like it. It's very much a jewel tone that we've got there. So that was just what the remnants of the hooker's green that I had in there, plus this phthalo turquoise and a little bit of the Sleeping Beauty turquoise. So let's use that. And I'm going to put that here for the pot, just because I love jewel tones. Even when I'm buying ceramic pots for myself, I love the jewel tones. There we go. I'll just put that on there just to have something fun that's kind of in the family of green, right? Sort of an emerald green pot. How fun is that? Now, I am going to need to make it a little bit darker right along the edge here. So let me add a little bit more of this phthalo turquoise and just sort of drop it in along the edge there. And that will help to give me a bit of a shadow, right? That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to give it a little bit of, and then there's going to be some shadow here from the leaf, right? On it. This leaf is going to cast a shadow likely. So I just darkened it a little bit more there to kind of give it a shadow. Now, what if I take a little bit more of that on my brush and I just brush it over top of this dark, just to sort of throw a shadow in there, just for the fun of it. And if it's too much, I'll just take my paper towel. It's too much like the bottom part, and I just lift it a little bit. There we go. So I still have the concept of a shadow, but it doesn't look so much like the base there. Okay, let's bring that up. Like that. All right. And knowing your colors and how to color mix is, I just think, so helpful. And being able to just come up on the fly, like there's no brown there, but you can come up with a brown, right? Now I see that beautiful punchy orange that I absolutely adore. So I'm going to jump back into that orange. I believe it's the PO62. Let me look. It says PO62, benzimidazolone orange. Yeah, they call it WINSOR orange, but it's just such a beautiful, bright orange. So let's put a little bit of this bright orange into here, just in a couple of places, okay? Just to sort of say, I'm here. Yes. All right. Let's put the orange just sort of by itself right here with a little bit of white in between it. Yes. I'm going to put just a teeny tiny orange here. I just want a little bit of it right there, not too much. And then there we go. I'm going to put some of it over here like that. Nice. And then maybe a little bit more of it right here. Just a thin one because it's a pop of color. So I don't want to take away from the overall design. I just want to have a little bit of a pop of color. There we go. Nice. And then I'll put one up here because I want the eye to wander down my painting like that. So I'll just put a little bit right here. There. Okay. Nice. Okay. I like where it's going. Oh, I need a little bit more. Okay. Back to it. Back to it. I can see that I need a little bit more right in here. Like a thicker one. Okay. There we go. Because there was too much white there and I'm going to lose that leaf if that's the case. Okay, this says, hold on. My battery on my iPad keeps going down, even though, okay, there we go. I think that fixed it. I like where this is going, y'all. I love these stripes. How fun are they? Right? Woohoo. Okay. So right now, I think I'm done with this. Now it's time to bring a pen into the arena. These are my favorite Pentel pocket brush pen. They're called from Japan. And Pentel Arts is a company that makes all kinds of different pens in Japan. These are my favorites for doing the outlines. Now, normally I would grab the sepia, which is a dark, dark brown, to do the outlines, but it's in the other room. And I don't want to interrupt to get up and go get it. So, what we're going to do, I think we're going to use this sanguine, but let me show you the colors that I have here, just so you can see what they look like. Eh, come on. So there's the sepia, which is the dark, dark brown. This is the sanguine, which has that sort of reddish color to it, very earthy. This is the black. There you go, like that. And this is the gray. So I like to use the gray for shadows. When I'm doing illustrations, the gray is perfect for popping in your shadows. But what we're going to do right now, I think we'll use the sanguine and we'll do the outlines with the sanguine. So I'm going to start at the top and move my way down. Let me just use my heat tool real quick to be sure that it's everything's dry. Because if I put my hand in it, all of a sudden I'm going to have smooches everywhere, right? So this is how we're going to finish off the design. Because right, you can either go with a thin brush and a dark color like a Payne's gray or something like that, or any other color that you're interested in outlining with, but I'm going to use the Sanguine pen. Now, when you receive these pocket brush pens, they have two cartridges. So let me just show you real quick. This top screws off, and there's the cartridge right there. It says Pentel. So you can buy the cartridges separately, which is awesome. And this is permanent ink when it's dry, which is perfect for this kind of illustration, which is why I could have used this to do the outlines first and then painted over top of it. Okay, so you can use these pens either before or after. They will work. So let me just get this here. I'm going to come from the tip. And then if you want a thicker line, you just press harder. If you want a thin line, you just lift it up. And let's say I want to do a thicker line here toward the end. So I just pressed a little bit harder. Ah, how fun. Okay, so there's the first one. So I like that because it's a brush. Hey, Kimmercast, welcome in, welcome in. We're doing projects. I think you just joined us, right? We're doing projects out of this book right here, um, Modern Watercolor Botanicals by the Mint Gardener. She calls herself Sarah Simon. And it's a beautiful book. You see how it has the spiral bound so it lays flat, right? And we were doing some exercises earlier out of the book. So this is getting familiar with our colors and how they intermingle with each other. And then we did some point, press, and lift for leaves, right? With our various brushes to get a feel for making leaves because her book is about botanicals. And then now we're working on this um, project right here. We're not putting the girl in there. We're just doing some of the leaves. I like the way she does the stripes like that. I think they're so cute. So that's, I was modeling this off of her project there. All right. And right now I'm using the Pentel pocket brush pen in order to outline the leaves. This color, the sanguine color, looks very much like the Kincasia. It's either Kincasia or Syncasia. I'm not sure which maroon from Michael Harding. There we go, like that. And then we'll come here. Just go in there like that. That's just so that you can. So I had done a pencil drawing based upon the that author gives you an outliner for some of the projects in the back of the book. And so I used that outliner to come up with the way that I outlined these leaves. Okay, here we go. Outline, outline. And then this leaf comes up here, goes like this. So now I'm just following along with my pencil line, right? To redefine these leaves. Oh, how fun is this? Once you get used to using these pocket brush pens, y'all, they're like a revelation. They're amazing. They are amazing. I just love them. And the first one that I got was a black one with the two black cartridges. And it was given to me by someone at the Pentel booth at a big show. And they were like, here, take this. I was like, awesome, thank you. And that forever started a love affair with these pens. I can tell you that. I just love them. Okay, we almost have each leaf outlined. Let's do this right here and bring this down here. Fabulous. Almost done. Almost done. I love this concept of the stripy leaves. Oh, you know what? I just the pencil mark is right here and I just extended it down. So because I extended it down, I'm just going to extend it over here too. And I'll just erase those pencil marks. Hallelujah. Thank goodness I can do that. I can just erase the pencil marks and the leaf will actually be bigger than what was originally intended to be. Here we go. I'll just erase that line and erase this line. Eek, now the leaf is bigger, which is perfectly fine, right? Now, if this line is freshly laid from the Pentel brush pen, you can actually go in with water and it will spread. After it's had a few minutes to fully dry, then it won't. Ah, yes, Watercolor Etc. on YouTube said that the stripes are fun on the leaves. Oh, good. They said, I'm happy you chose to paint it tonight. It is so much fun. I think it's awesome. Okay, so instead of using the black, which in my opinion would compete with the outline, that beautiful sanguine outline, I'm going to use the gray to go in and define the stripes. I think that will be a good uh, compromise. Just do this. You don't have to do this part, you can leave it, but I feel like it makes the white part stand out more if you go ahead and you outline the color parts. And then let's do this and then do this. And because this is gray, it's not quite so dark as the black would be. Like that. Okay, let's do this one right here. Nice. Now, if I finished this and I went, ooh, I don't like the combination of the gray stripes and the uh, sanguine around the outside, you know what I would do? I would just take this gray pen and go right over top of the sanguine if I chose to do that. Let's see, here we are. Let me just do another stripe right next to that one. So you can play around with your stripes. You don't have to just follow the leaves. I mean, the stripes on the leaves. You can also create other little sections as well. right? So you can just add more stripes in there if you want to. They don't have to just follow the color. Do this, do this. I'm going to do another one here and then follow that one there. Cute. Like up here, I'm going to do this and then I'm going to do just a little one right there. Okay. So you can see there, I added a few extra lines in there just to give a little more interest to the white area, right? And this one right here. Like I said, I love these brush pens because you can go very lightly and get a thin line, or you can vary it by pressing a little harder and then lift up. And then that way you have a thick, thin, thick, possibly, or just a super thin line. It does help to have a steady hand to do this, though. So if you don't have a steady hand, you might ask somebody else to do it for you if you're not confident in being able to make the nice swoopy lines. But I think the more you practice, the better you'll get at it. And but I will have these Pentel brush pens linked in the description of the video on YouTube. Hee. There we go. These are so much fun. And another thing that you can do is you don't have to just go with the stripes like that. I could also do something like this within the color, right? If I wanted to get a little more crazy, I could do some circles in here. So you can actually add more to your design if you're like, ooh, okay. Yes, they're leaves, but I want to make them, even that much more funky and fun. So let's do this one right here. I'm going to do it right inside this one. Add another design, right? So you can just play around with your with your spaces that you're designing with your markers. Yee. There we go. There's another one right here. This one right here. Okay. This one right here. These are so fun. The stripes are so fun. Thank you, Sarah Simon, for the idea, for the project to do this. This is so, it's actually a very easy project to do. And I think the results are just so fun. There we go, like that. And then I'm going to put another little one right here, right? I can go back and decide to do more designs on more of the leaves later. Uh, but that's a fun concept, right? And let me just do a little one right there. Let's do this and this. So some of the stripes are skinny, some of the stripes are big. Do that like that. I had to pick it up so that I could turn it around and get it to be the right size. Yes, this is so much fun. It's very relaxing. No, I definitely recommend the book. What is it? Modern Watercolor Botanicals. Now there's a big old white space here, so of course I've got to do something with that. That added a little something. There's a big white space here too, so I'm going to have to do something on that. Just for now, I'll do that. And then here, we've got color here. And this is where I messed up and I actually added added a bunch of space there. So that's fine. I'll do this. The nice thing about going back in and doing an outline also is you can just create your outline wherever you want it. You don't have to follow exactly along with the color. You see there? So the color is like a suggestion of where you might want to outline. There we go. Yep. And between this green and this yellow, there was a bunch of overlap. So I just put a thicker line there. That can solve a lot of ills when you come in and you do your outlines. It just gives it a much more illustrative look, doesn't it? Okay, let's do this. I want to thicken this line up just a little bit more. Eee. And then bring another line like this. There we go. Oh my gosh, those are so much fun, y'all. So much fun. All right. And then I'm also going to come down here and I'm going to put a little bit of a, instead of using it straight, I'm going to use it slightly on the angle, my pen, so that I can sort of drop an extra shadow in here, right around that edge, to differentiate the edge of the pot with the soil that's in there, just to give it a little bit of an extra zhuzh. And then I'm going to bring it down just a little bit. So we have just a little bit more shadow. I just love this gray pen for that, for doing the shadows. Okay. So I think that's actually, for now, that's done for now. Of course, I'll go back later and I'll use the gray pen and I will add some more fun shapes in there just to make it something wackadoodle. And yeah, I really enjoyed that project from the book. And I hope that you did too. Again, if you weren't here earlier, this is the Cup of Clip. Here, Cup of Clip. Beautiful hardbound watercolor journal. This is one of the squares. They also make them in landscape. And they have the perforations here so you can pull the pages out very easily. And then they have a pocket. This particular one has a pocket in the front and a pocket in the back for all of your reference pictures and stuff. And yeah, that was so much fun. So that was this project right here. Oh, so yep, she just shows you step by step what to do there. If you weren't here earlier, this was the inspiration for doing this. And then in the back of the book here, she has some outliners. So we started with the outline there in order to come up with a way to put our image down there. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun. Um, yeah, I, I I thoroughly enjoyed this one. I love this outcome. I think it's fantastic. And yeah, so that was a good time.